The crystal chandeliers of the Meridian cast a warm glow over white tablecloths as Zara Vex balanced a tray of champagne flutes. At 27, she'd perfected the art of invisible service, present when needed, absent when not. Beneath the skin tone modifier on her wrist, her natural violet skin remained hidden. Zara was Celestian, sent to Earth 2 years ago to study human social hierarchies and discrimination patterns. Her people had evolved beyond prejudice based on physical differences, and the Celestian Institute wanted to understand why humans still struggled with such primitive biases. What Zara hadn't anticipated was how deeply human cruelty would affect her, even as an outside observer. Tonight, she'd been assigned to the private dining room where a blind date was about to unfold. The gentleman had arrived early, Damien Cross, according to the reservation. She'd heard servers whispering about him, tech billionaire, 34 years old, brilliant mind. And he used a wheelchair. Zara watched as he adjusted his tie nervously, his eyes scanning the door. There was intelligence in those dark eyes, and something else, vulnerability mixed with resignation, as if he expected disappointment. The door opened. A woman entered, striking, with auburn hair and a designer suit that probably cost more than Zara earned in 3 months. Victoria Lawson, according to the reservation. Zara began pouring water at a nearby station, close enough to observe. Victoria's eyes found Damien. Zara watched the woman's expression change, shock, then poorly concealed disgust. The transformation was instant and brutal. Damien? Victoria's voice climbed half an octave. That's me, Damien replied, extending his hand with practiced ease. Victoria, I presume. It's a pleasure to meet you. Victoria stared at his hand before giving it the briefest shake, as if afraid of contamination. She sat down but positioned her chair farther from the table than necessary, maintaining maximum distance. Grant didn't mention that you. Victoria gestured vaguely toward his wheelchair. Use a wheelchair, Damien finished, keeping his tone neutral. No, he probably thought it wouldn't matter. It's just surprising, Victoria said quickly. That's all. Zara approached to take their orders, her stomach churning with anger at the woman's transparent disdain. Good evening. May I start you with something to drink? Champagne. The most expensive you have, Victoria said without looking at Zara. He'll have water. Actually, I'll have the Macallan 18, Damien said quietly. Neat. Zara nodded and retreated, but she kept watching through the service window. The date deteriorated rapidly. Victoria checked her phone constantly. She answered Damien's questions in monosyllables. Her body language screamed her desire to escape. 20 excruciating minutes passed. Then Victoria set down her glass with force and leaned forward. Look, her voice was low but not quite low enough. Zara heard every word. I appreciate that Grant thought this was a good idea, but let's be honest. I have a certain image to maintain. I attend galas, charity functions, corporate events. I need a partner who can stand beside me at those events. Someone who fits the lifestyle. Zara's hands clenched on the tray she was holding. I see, Damien said quietly. And someone in a wheelchair doesn't fit that image. It's not personal, Victoria continued, as if that made it better. It's practical. Think about it, the logistics alone would be complicated. And people would stare. They would ask questions. I didn't work this hard to build my reputation just to become known as the woman who dates the guy in the wheelchair. Nearby tables had begun to notice. Zara could feel eyes turning toward them. So what you're saying, Damien said, his voice carefully controlled, is that my disability makes me unworthy of being seen with you in public. I'm saying I have standards, Victoria replied, standing abruptly. And I'm sorry, but you don't meet them. I'm sure there's someone out there willing to take on a project like you, but I'm not interested in being anyone's nurse or charity case. She said the last words loudly enough that several nearby diners openly stared. Zara watched Damien's face, the humiliation, the pain he was trying so hard to hide. Victoria walked out, her heels clicking sharply against marble. Damien sat frozen, acutely aware of every eye on him. Zara could see him fighting to maintain composure, to not let them see how deeply those words had cut. Her manager, Richard Peterson, appeared at her elbow. "Table 8 needs their dessert orders." "In a minute," Zara said, setting down her tray. "Zara, what are you?" But Zara was already walking toward Damien's table. She could feel her modifier flickering with the intensity of her emotions, anger, compassion, fierce protectiveness for this stranger who'd just been publicly degraded. "Excuse me," she said, stopping beside his table. Damien looked up, clearly expecting another pitying stare or worse. "Yes?" His voice was rough. "I'm Zara," she said, her voice trembling slightly with emotion. "And I need you to know that woman who just left is the most horrible person I've ever seen walk through these doors. I've worked here for 2 years, so that's saying something." Damien blinked, surprised. "Thank you, but you don't have to." "Yes, I do," Zara interrupted. She glanced around quickly before pulling out the chair Victoria had vacated and sitting down. "Because what just happened was wrong. Completely, absolutely wrong. And you deserve to know that not everyone in this world is blind, stupid, or soulless." "Your manager is going to notice you sitting with a customer," Damien said. "Let him notice," Zara said with fierce determination. "Some things are more important than following rules. And right now, making sure you don't leave here thinking you deserve that treatment is more important than my job." "You could really get fired for this," Damien warned. "Then I'll get fired for doing the right thing," Zara replied. "Now, you ordered the salmon, correct? When it arrives, I'm going to share this table with you and have a proper conversation, because that woman didn't deserve even 1 minute of your time, and you deserve to finish your evening with someone who has basic human decency." For the first time since Victoria had walked in, Damien felt something other than humiliation. He felt seen. Not pitted, not patronized, but genuinely seen by someone who just put her livelihood on the line to defend a complete stranger. "Why are you doing this?" he asked softly. Zara's fierce expression softened. "Because my little sister Mira has cerebral palsy. I've spent my life watching people treat her like she's less than human because of her physical challenges. And I will never stand by and watch someone be dehumanized like that. Not on my watch. Not ever." Damien felt his throat tighten. "Your sister is lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have her," Zara corrected. "She taught me what really matters. And it's not designer clothes or perfect images or maintaining some facade. It's kindness, empathy, and having the courage to stand up for what's right." Mr. Peterson approached their table, his expression stern. "Miss Vex, what are you doing?" Zara looked up without flinching. "I'm finishing a conversation, Mr. Peterson. I'll be back to work in a moment." "This is highly inappropriate." "So is what happened here tonight," Zara replied firmly. "And I chose to address that rather than ignore it. If that costs me my job, then so be it." Mr. Peterson looked between them, clearly torn. Finally, he sighed. "The gentleman hasn't complained. I'll give you 10 minutes, Miss Vex. Then I expect you back at your station." As he walked away, Zara turned back to Damien with a small smile. "So, Damien, tell me about yourself. And I don't want to hear about your company or business achievements. Tell me about you. What do you do when you're not building empires? What makes you laugh?" And despite everything, despite the humiliation still burning in his chest and the stares still coming from nearby tables, Damien found himself smiling. Because this strange, fierce woman had just given him something he hadn't experienced in a very long time. Hope. "More real than anything I've ever experienced," Damien admitted. Zara leaned in and kissed him, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "So we're doing this?" Zara asked. "Officially?" "We're definitely doing this," Damien confirmed. "You and me against whatever comes next." Later that night, as they sat together watching the city lights, Zara made a decision. Damien had been honest with her about his struggles. She needed to be honest with him about who she really was. "Damien," she said quietly. "There's something I need to tell you. Something important about who I really am." "Zara. Please. Let me show you." She deactivated her skin modifier. The change rippled across her body, skin shifting from human beige to luminous violet. Damien's eyes widened with shock and wonder. "What? How?" "I'm not human," Zara said steadily. "I'm Celestian. From a planet called Celestia. I came here to study human social behavior and discrimination. But what I feel for you, that's real. Everything between us is real." Damien stared, processing. Then slowly, he reached out, fingers tracing her violet cheek with reverence. "You're purple. Very observant. And you trusted me enough to show me." His voice filled with awe. "Zara, I don't care what planet you're from. I don't care what you look like. I care about your courage, your compassion, the way you stood up for me when no one else would. That's who you are. That's why I'm falling in love with you." When he kissed her again, it felt like acceptance, like home, like everything Zara had hoped for when she'd first defended this remarkable man. And for the first time since arriving on Earth, Zara understood why humans valued love so highly. Because this connection, this acceptance, this fierce devotion, was worth risking everything. 4.2 days later, Damien received an urgent call from his business partner, Marcus Webb. "We need to talk. In person. Now." At Cross Technologies headquarters, Marcus was waiting with Thomas Reed, their lead investor. "Damien, sit down," Thomas said. "We have a situation." "What kind of situation?" Marcus cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Westbrook International wants to invest $100 million into Cross Technologies. They're our ticket to massive expansion." "That's excellent news. But Harold Westbrook has concerns," Thomas interrupted. "About your personal life. Specifically, about your relationship with Zara Vex." Damien felt fury building. "My personal life is not his concern. It becomes his concern when it affects his investment," Marcus said carefully. "Westbrook comes from old money, old values. He's worried about optics, about how it looks for a CEO to be dating a waitress. He thinks it shows poor judgment." "Poor judgment?" Damien's voice was dangerously quiet. "Dating a hard-working, compassionate woman shows poor judgment?" "He's willing to make the investment if you end the relationship," Thomas said. "Otherwise, the deal is off." "This is $100 million, Marcus added. "That's capital that could transform this company, secure everyone's future here. We're talking hundreds of jobs, expansion into 6 new countries. And all I have to do is break up with Zara," Damien said flatly. "It's a business decision," Thomas said. "Not a personal one." Damien looked between them, seeing the expectation in their eyes. They genuinely believed he would choose the money. "No," Damien said simply. Marcus blinked. "No? No," Damien repeated firmly. "I won't end my relationship with Zara for Harold Westbrook or his money or anyone else. If Westbrook can't see past his outdated prejudices, then he's not someone I want as a partner." "Damien, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable," Damien interrupted. "I'm being reasonable about what actually matters in life. Zara showed me kindness when I was at my lowest. She sees me as a complete person. And you're asking me to throw that away for money? Absolutely not. This is $100 million. The 10 minutes Mr. Peterson had granted turned into 20, then 30. Damien found himself talking to Zara in a way he hadn't talked to anyone in years. She asked about his love for vintage jazz, about the mystery novels he devoured at 2 a.m., about his failed attempts at learning guitar. In return, she told him about her dreams of studying anthropology, about her sister Myra's infectious laugh, about how she'd once accidentally set a kitchen on fire trying to make crème brûlée. When Zara finally had to return to work, Damien found himself reluctant to let the conversation end. He paid his bill with a generous tip, but before leaving, he wrote his phone number on the back of his business card. "If you'd like to continue this conversation sometime," he said, handing it to her, "I would really enjoy that. Maybe over coffee at a place where you don't have to work." Zara took the card, her smile genuine and warm. "I would love that. How about Sunday? It's my day off." Sunday is perfect. Over the following 3 weeks, Damien and Zara saw each other whenever their schedules allowed. They made time, stealing hours here and there, building something neither had expected to find. Damien learned that Zara was 27, that she'd been essentially raising Mira since their adoptive mother died 2 years ago. Their father had disappeared when Zara was young. Zara worked multiple shifts to cover Myra's medical expenses and therapy while supporting them both. "She's the strongest person I know," Zara told him during a walk through the park. Damien navigating the paths easily while Zara walked beside him. "People look at her and see limitations, but Mira sees possibilities everywhere. She taught me that disabilities don't define people. Lack of compassion does." Damien opened up about his own struggles in ways he rarely did. He told her about the depression after his accident, about the physical therapy that had been agonizing, about realizing he could either let the wheelchair define him or define himself despite it. "My family struggled with it," he admitted. "They love me, but they started treating me like I was fragile. My mother especially became overprotective to the point of suffocation. My brother took over parts of the company, thinking I couldn't handle it anymore. Even though my mind works perfectly fine." "Are they better now?" Zara asked. Damien's expression darkened. "They're better at hiding their doubt. But it's still there." Their first official date was at Damien's penthouse. He'd insisted on cooking for her, wanting to show her he was capable and independent in his own space. Zara arrived wearing a simple navy dress, her usual ponytail replaced by loose waves. Damien felt his breath catch. "Welcome to my home," he said, gesturing around the open-plan space. Everything was designed for accessibility but also for beauty. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered stunning views of the city. "Damien, this is beautiful," Zara said, turning slowly to take it all in. They cooked together, Damien handling risotto while Zara prepared salad and garlic bread. They moved around each other with surprising ease. "My mother wanted to hire a full-time chef for me," Damien said, stirring the rice. "She couldn't understand why I insisted on cooking for myself. But it mattered. This is my space, my domain, where I'm completely in control." "I understand that," Zara said softly. "Food has always been my way of showing love. When Mira was having a hard day, I'd make her favorite cookies. Cooking isn't just sustenance. It's connection." Dinner was perfect. They ate at Damien's table overlooking the twinkling city lights, talking about everything and nothing. After dinner, they moved to the couch. Damien poured wine and they continued talking. At some point, Zara's hand found his, their fingers intertwining naturally. "I need to tell you something," Damien said, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "I'm falling for you, Zara. Fast and hard and in a way that terrifies me. Because I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you to realize this is too complicated or I'm too much work." Zara shifted closer, her brown eyes intense. "Damien Cross, listen to me very carefully. You are not too much work. You are not a burden. You're brilliant and kind and funny and talented. Yes, you use a wheelchair. So what? That's just one aspect of who you are. My family is going to be difficult, Damien warned. They have opinions about everything, including who I should date. Then we'll handle it, Zara said firmly. Together. I'm not afraid of difficult families. I'm only afraid of walking away from something real because it might be hard. And this feels real to me. Does it feel real to you? I heard you the first time. My answer is still no. Tell Westbrook his investment isn't welcome. I'll find other investors, people who care more about innovation than social climbing. After they left, Damien sat alone, hands shaking slightly. He'd just walked away from a fortune, potentially damaged his company's growth. Some would call that foolish. But as he called Zara and heard her voice, he knew he'd made the right choice. The fallout came swiftly. Within days, Damien's mother Catherine requested an urgent family meeting. Damien brought Zara, wanting his family to meet the woman he loved. The Cross estate was intimidating, a sprawling mansion with manicured gardens. Zara's hand tightened on Damien's as they approached. You don't have to do this, Damien murmured. I can handle them alone. We're in this together, Zara reminded him. Remember? Inside, the entire Cross family was assembled. Catherine sat in her usual chair like a queen. Damien's father Richard stood by the fireplace. His brother Nathan lounged on the sofa, looking smug. Damien, Catherine said coldly, her eyes sliding over Zara with barely concealed disdain. You brought a guest. This is Zara Vex, Damien said firmly. The woman I love. Zara, these are my parents Catherine and Richard, and my brother Nathan. Nice to meet you, Zara said politely, though her voice trembled slightly. Catherine didn't offer her hand. Miss Vex. I understand you work at the Meridian. I do, Zara confirmed, lifting her chin. I'm a server there. How industrious, Catherine said in a tone suggesting the opposite. Damien, might I speak with you privately? Anything you need to say, you can say in front of Zara, Damien replied. Catherine's lips pressed into a thin line. Very well. We heard about the Westbrook deal. You turned down $100 million for this relationship. I did, Damien confirmed. Have you lost your mind? Nathan interjected. Do you know what that investment could have done for the company? I know exactly what it would have done, Damien said calmly. It would have made us richer. It also would have required me to end my relationship with the woman I love. I wasn't willing to do that. She's gotten her hooks into you, Nathan sneered. Come on, Damien. A waitress and a millionaire. It's obvious what she wants. Zara stiffened, but before she could respond, Damien's voice cut through the room like ice. Finish that thought, Nathan, and you and I are done permanently. The threat in Damien's voice was unmistakable. Nathan actually flinched. We're just concerned, Catherine said. You've been through so much since the accident. You're vulnerable, Damien. And people take advantage of vulnerable wealthy men. I'm not vulnerable, Damien said. And Zara isn't taking advantage of anyone. She's the most genuine person I've ever met. Is she? Richard spoke for the first time, pulling out a folder. We had investigators look into Miss Vex. Damien, there's no record of her existing before 2 years ago. No birth certificate, no social security number. Nothing. Damien's blood ran cold. He looked at Zara, whose face had gone pale. And that's not all, Catherine said, pulling out photographs. The hospital where her sister supposedly receives treatment ran biometric scans. Miss Vex's readings came back, unusual. Non-human, in fact. The room fell silent. What is she, Damien? Catherine demanded. What exactly have you brought into our family? Zara stood slowly, her hands trembling. I can explain. You're an alien, Nathan said, disgust in his voice. An actual alien. And you've been lying to everyone. I wasn't lying, Zara said, voice breaking. I was trying to fit in, to understand humans, by infiltrating our family. Catherine stood. By seducing my son? I don't know what your people want, but you won't get it. Either you leave Damien now, or I call Homeland Security and every government agency I can think of. They'll take you apart to study you. Mother, stop, Damien started. She's a threat, Damien. Can't you see that? Zara looked at Damien, tears streaming down her face. I should go. I should have never. No, Damien said firmly. You're not going anywhere. He turned to his family, his voice filled with steel. If you make that call, I walk away from everything. The company, the family, all of it. I'll tell the media exactly why. About your prejudice, your cruelty, your threats. See how that affects the family reputation you care so much about. You wouldn't. Try me, Damien said. Because Zara is worth more to me than any of this. And if you can't accept that, then we have nothing more to say to each other. That night, Zara prepared to disappear. She couldn't let Damien sacrifice everything for her. She'd return to Celestia, erase these memories, protect him from the fallout. But Damien discovered her plans. He found her packing at her apartment. What are you doing? Protecting you, Zara said through tears. Your family will destroy you if I stay. Then let them try, Damien said, pulling her into his arms. Zara, I'm not letting you go. I don't care what my family thinks. I don't care what anyone thinks. But your company, your life, means nothing without you in it. The next morning, Damien held a press conference. Zara stood beside him, her modifier deactivated, violet skin glowing under the lights. I'm here to make an announcement, Damien began. This is Zara Vex. She's a Celestian, an extraterrestrial researcher who came to Earth to study our culture. She's also the woman I love. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed frantically. Zara came here peacefully to learn about humanity. She works 2 jobs to support her disabled sister. She stood up for me when I was humiliated, showed me kindness when I needed it most. She's not a threat. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. He turned to Zara. My family threatened to expose you, to hurt you unless I ended our relationship. So I'm exposing you first, on our terms. And I'm renouncing my family's money, stepping back from their company, because you're worth more than any inheritance or business empire. Tears streamed down Zara's violet face. Damien, you don't have to. I want to, he said firmly. I love you, Zara Vex. I don't care what planet you're from or what anyone thinks. Will you stay with me? Build a life with me? Yes, Zara whispered. Always yes. The media erupted. But that evening, as coverage exploded worldwide, some supportive, some horrified, all fascinated, Zara's communicator buzzed. Recall notice. Protocol violation. Emotional contamination. Return for memory erasure or accept permanent exile. Standing in Damien's penthouse, watching him field supportive calls from unexpected allies, Zara made her choice. I'm not going back, she told him when he finally hung up. It means permanent exile. I can never return to Celestia. But I choose you. I choose Mira. I choose this life. Damien pulled her close. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. 6 months later, they married in a small ceremony. Mira was maid of honor, beaming with joy. Some of Damien's former colleagues came, defying his family to support them. The media had moved on to other stories, but the impact remained. Other aliens living secretly on Earth reached out, inspired by their courage. Damien started a new tech company focused on accessibility and integration, both for people with disabilities and extraterrestrial visitors. As Zara and Damien exchanged vows, her violet skin glowing in the soft light, his eyes filled with genuine love, she realized something profound. She'd come to Earth to study human prejudice and discrimination. Instead, she'd learned about human capacity for love, acceptance, and courage. Damien had been rejected for using a wheelchair. Zara had been threatened for being alien. But together, they'd proven that true worth has nothing to do with ability or appearance or species. It has everything to do with character, compassion, and the courage to stand up for what's right. And as Damien kissed his bride, both of them knew they'd found something more valuable than any fortune or approval. They'd found each other.